We are live. Hey, everybody. I'm Haley Graham, the founder of the Women's Entrepreneur Network. And these are my dear friends, Velma, Gallant, and Victoria Bentley. I hope that you will join us tonight because we're talking about moving when it's hard, doing the thing, doing the do.
Moving right along and over the edge, right?
You know, here's the thing in life and in business. A lot of times, you know, I've heard, oh, it's all mindset and blah, blah, blah. It is to some extent. But there are going to be days where you don't feel like it. And my butt really wants to be on the couch, or, you know, the weather really sucks. Today, the weather is really rainy and dreary. And I've had like lots of errands that I've had to run. And it's been just a long day. You know, it's 9:30 p.m. I had to leave the house at 9:15 a.m. this morning to get to all the way to Wake Forest to take my car into the mechanic. And it's just, sometimes it's left foot, right foot, put one in front of the other, get up, get dressed, brush my hair, brush my teeth, take a shower.
Pretty much. It ends up being, I know, because I've been in that space and I've, you know, faced with some exhaustion and other things pulling at my attention and stuff like that. And so like, well, what's one thing? If I'm going to get one thing done, what's the one thing I really, really, really would love to have done?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think, aren't we just talking about being a grown-up and that sometimes it's just not what we want to do?
Well, you know, there's a lot of things with, you know, adulting that really suck. And, you know, doing the things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them kind of suck. And apologizing when you don't want to apologize. And doing, and, you know, the thing about being an entrepreneur or a business owner is you have complete freedom to not do the things that suck. And unfortunately, if you don't do the things that suck, then
and the complete responsibility to do them all, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Complete responsibility to do them all. I don't have anything in my business that is a component of my business that I'm not perfectly capable of doing. Yes, building websites or funnels or SEO or ads or creating social media graphics. And sometimes I'm up late doing stuff because somebody screwed something up and I've got to get it, or we have a deliverable, or we have a tight date.
And that's the trade-off for keeping the profits. And not having a grumpy boss, unless it's you, right?
And some days my boss is just a bitch. I am my own boss. Oops. You know, some days she's just a demanding wench. And all she wants is everything yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Right. You can work as much or as little as you want. You can work as hard or as easy as you want.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, what you make is what you take.
Right. And, you know, exactly, what you make is what you take. And until your business is at that point where you've got people working for you, if you don't hunt it, if you don't make it, you don't take it. And there is nothing you can do about it. And even when you do have people working for you, you know, Victoria, as you well know, after owning a law firm with 1 million attorneys, right, working for you, you still had to make it so that everybody could take it.
That's right.
And it's part of it. If I don't hunt it or farm it.
And it's always interesting. I found this interesting, that how, without dumping on them, because they're very good and they worked hard. I don't mean it that way. But billable hours, you know, they're getting paid X, whether they bill 5 cents or $500. Mm-hmm. And it was just never a priority to get those billable hours in. Oh yeah, well, I hate to bill him because he's having a really hard time. Well, hey Buster, you're getting a paycheck. And if you don't bill him, I won't have the money to pay you. And it just seems to, unless you're an entrepreneur, it just seems to be, I didn't know that. It's,
If
remember
you don't
when
deliver it on time, it's not going to happen. So you're not going to be able to do it.
it's like the government. People think it's never ending money. Let's write another check. Let's pass another bill. Where's it coming from? It's coming from the taxpayers. And when it isn't, they just print more money. So your grandchildren are going to be paying the bill.
Well, and then the other problem is,
It's
when you're
not
the business owner, money doesn't just
grow on trees.
fall from the sky magically, as if, and you're working for somebody, the money has to come in from somewhere. And if the clients aren't paying their invoices, because you're not giving them the information that they need to do the invoices, then that's a problem. Or my favorite is, why don't you go screw something up so we lose a client? So then now that makes it doubly hard for me to pay your check.
People are not just risk averse, but they're conflict averse. And if I send you a bill, you might be upset. So I'm going to avoid the whole thing. And that's not reality in business.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminds me of, the discussion we had before about hard conversations and how it's better to have the hard conversations early, because if you don't, then the hardness expands later, right?
That's a good point. That's a good point. That, the let's be clear on the first day conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes me feel like it's that same kind of thing when it comes to moving when it's hard. Even though it's hard, that hard is going to expand if we keep leaving it. So it really is. It might be just as simple as, I'm going to put 5 minutes in, because usually once you get started, you can build on that momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just
that's a good point.
Well, and then the other thing too is that a lot of times there are myriad small tasks in our business that come in, like things that come in via email. It may be only a 5 or a 10-minute task. I'm going to do that later. And one of the guys that I know who owns a really large insurance agency around here basically tells his employees, kill the monkeys before they grow up to be silverbacks. Because here's the thing. And it was like, I don't like that analogy, but at the same time,
Right.
you've got things popping out of your inbox, right? And if you don't deal with them when they're popping out of the inbox, when it's first fresh, and you don't build a system and a process around it to get rid of those things and get them off your plate as quickly as possible, those suckers are just going to keep coming back, and they're going to keep growing.
Isn't it interesting how we avoid stuff and how it turns into the monster in the closet?
It does. It really does. And, the thing about business is that a lot of those things are, I need to send a quote. I need to send an invoice. I need to run payroll. I need to do my accounting. I need to do 1099s because they're due next week. I need to do blah, 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 blah. And here's the thing, if you don't set aside the time and sit down and do it, get rid of the monkey, it's going to get to be a silverback gorilla that's going to really make your life miserable.
That's hysterical. I have never heard that. That's hysterical.
It's a really good analogy.
Paints a word picture, doesn't it?
And it's moving when it's hard, doing the stuff when it's hard. I don't feel like doing that right now. Y'all,
It's called being a grown-up.
Yeah, it's called being a grown-up. Like, I am exhausted this week. I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm not exhausted because I'm like crazy busy, although there's a little bit of that. But I'm exhausted because last weekend my son came home for the weekend from boarding school, and we had to go up to Virginia and get him and then take him back. And each trip, the up to get him and back is a minimum of 8.5 hours. And Sunday, when I took him back, it was 10 hours of driving in weather that was just above freezing, and it was pouring rain, and it poured rain the entire way. So of course you're not even
at the boarding school, son.
Getting to the speed limit. Well, he comes home every couple of months, and this was just a special thing that he came home for, and it was honestly his birthday present. So this week,
and I'm just, of course.
I know, exactly. That's why he's at boarding school, right? You stay there, son. Yeah, and they got snowed in today.
Yeah, for Easter.
Yeah, but you're looking at it going, okay, so I got in after 1 a.m. Monday morning, Sunday night, and it's how I've been going all week. So if I look tired, y'all, I'm exhausted right now. We've had networking meetings. We've been doing stuff. We've been sending proposals. And you know what? I keep showing up even though I don't really feel like it. I'm like, I don't feel like sending that proposal right now. I'd rather go to bed. Well, guess what? I'm getting that proposal out tonight. 4 of them. 3 of them are already drafted. The 4th one is getting ready to be drafted.
And I think too, what you mentioned earlier about building the systems, I think is because when it's hard, if we have a system, it takes the edge off it and makes things a little faster. Like your proposals, you probably have a good system already in place so that those proposals aren't as hard as they used to be.
Oh, absolutely. I took a week about 1.5 years ago. It took me a week to build out templates and
I remember that time.
And proposals. And you remember when I did this, right?
Yeah, you and I worked together on some of those. And
you probably remember some of the words I was saying. I was not a happy camper about doing it. But that hard then made my life
a little better,
vastly easier now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember a psychiatrist who wrote a book called The Road Less Traveled, Scott Peck, M. Scott Peck? Maybe a little before.
I've heard The Road Less Traveled, but I haven't read the book.
A couple things he wrote, like the first line of the book is, life is difficult, period. But he said the ability to defer gratification is the hallmark of an adult. And you think about that. And it's no fun, but if we all are honest with ourselves and being grown-ups, we know that, I want to go to the party tonight, but I really have to get that proposal out. And I must make that a priority, and then I'll deal with whatever. And that's the difference in a lot of success for people is I can't go to the party. I have to get my work done. And
I can't go to that party right now. I need to go to bed. Mm-hmm. For me, sometimes on the weekends, I can't go out. I can't do whatever. I'd love to. But if I don't go to bed, my body is going to punish me for the next week, and I know it.
And that's also getting older. You just don't have the bandwidth you once had.
It's not just that. Like, I discovered probably by the time I was 30 that if I went flat out for more than 7 or 8 days in a row, if I try to not rest for multiple weekends in a row, I'm fried. I am totally fried. I am crispy frittered. And it didn't matter that I was 25 years old.
And sleep is imperative.
My body just would punish me. I remember back when we were remodeling our kitchen. I was 28 or 29 at the time. And we were stripping paint off of windows on the weekends and at night. And I would get up, and we had little kids in the house, and we had 3 littles under the age of 6. And we were stripping paint at night and, with a heat gun and a scraper and doing all the things. And, I just remember hitting a wall, and I did it to myself more than once because I'm hard-headed that way. But I learned real quick, after about the second or third time, maybe not, that I can't just keep burning the candle at both ends, working all day, then doing the thing all night, and then doing the thing all weekend. It wasn't physically possible.
Well, I think
Wasn't it Harry who said a man's got to know his limitations?
Mm-hmm.
So does a woman, right?
Yeah. Well, and that wasn't just age, right? I mean, at the age of 50, I hit fewer problems like that.
Maybe because you got smarter.
Yeah. That reminds me of that.
I don't try doing that to myself as often. Every once in a while, I'll test it a little bit, but then I promptly, after about day 12 in a row, I get really exhausted.
I bet.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody that said it, and I can't remember who it was, but it's choose your hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really speaks to it too, because of there's the burning your candle at both ends and then hurting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's the choosing fun before responsibility, and then having that responsibility come up and take a really big chunk out of your butt. Right? It says choose your hard. It doesn't matter which way you go, you're going to get a hard. So you might as well choose your hard.
Yeah, totally. No, and I mean, for me, one of my hards was when I decided to have weight loss surgery. A lot of people will say, oh, you took the easy way out. Well, no.
Are they crazy?
I had my choice. I could remain at 427 pounds.
And die.
Or I could choose my hard, which was, weeks on a liquid diet, month. I was on a liquid diet over a month, and all the things, and went through and lost 160 pounds. Choose your hard.
Yep.
Now that said, I learned during that time I don't really require solid food. It's been an interesting lesson. But choose your hard, right? And keeping doing it even when it's hard. And I don't know about y'all, but one of the things that's been a reality in my life, and I think it's true of most people, is that we always have the hard going on while we have other things going on in our life.
Mm-hmm.
Say more.
I had weight loss surgery. I was dealing with growing my business, and we were in a mastermind together, and my daughter was bouncing in and out of the hospital like a bunch of girls up and down on trampolines. I think from the time that I had surgery, from the week I had surgery, because she was hospitalized the day before I went in for bariatric surgery, to about 7 or 8 months later, she was hospitalized 9 times. Choose your hard. While I was growing my business. And hey, guys, choose your hard, right? And keeping moving when it's hard, and keeping everything moving, going in the right direction. Yeah.
Well, another good quote. I don't remember whose it is, but when you're walking through hell, don't stop.
Darn straight.
That was Churchill.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. That was definitely, one of those times in my life where I did what I had to do. Looking back, I think my husband is pretty sure I'm pretty damn hard-headed.
Tenacious.
Hard-headed.
Oh.
Tenacious too. I mean, it's just one of those examples. I'm sure everybody has those examples in their life that they've done. But, it's I feel like sometimes there's this glamorization of being an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, my life is perfect, and I'm, on a cruise ship, and I'm this and I'm that and I'm the other. We've all got our shit going on in the background.
Absolutely.
Life
Absolutely.
on life's terms, right?
And life happens. Life is always happening.
Well, that moving when it's hard. I mean, you experience, you've seen it, and you've seen it with your customers and your clients when it comes to the moving when it's hard. I've seen it and experienced it with respect to divorce. Victoria, I can't imagine the variety of ways you've seen people experiencing moving when it's hard, given your background with nursing, lawyer, businesswoman, like all of it.
Well, and you did it too while you were going through law school while working as a nurse.
And getting
My
divorced.
mother was dying and my parents were getting divorced.
No goodness.
But through another
You
layer.
didn't have anything going on.
No, got down to 96 pounds.
Wonder why.
6-pack of Diet Coke and 2 packs of Marlboros every day. And I'm lucky I lived through it. I really feel that way. I'm lucky I lived through it.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Maybe. I'm not sure that that's true. I think it kills a lot of people. I really do.
I think it does.
I've seen a lot of people break. I mean, that's kind of what I did for a living, is watch people break. And
yeah, well, and you do have that option, or that is always a possibility, is that you could break. And women do have so much responsibility. Yeah, we do. Wives, moms, daughters. I took care of both my parents.
Right. Yeah. We did that.
And my husband's grandmother and my husband's mother. We took care of my husband's mother in hospice when I was 20 years old. And, his mother, his grandmother, his father, both my parents. Yeah. It's a thing.
I was court-appointed guardian for my grandmother for her dementia in my first semester of law school. I testified for probably 3 hours on a day that was all-day testimony. I testified on that day, and then the next day had my first law school final. I mean, it just, and the beat goes on, right? Separated the next month. It's amazing how you do what you have to do. And like you said, left foot, right foot, you just keep going. But when you look back, you think, oh my word, how did I do that? Or how did, and that's the grace of God that you did it and that you're still alive to tell about it. That is the grace of God, because there's no humanly answer of how you survived some of this stuff.
Yeah, we do what we have to do and often put ourselves last.
Pardon?
And we do what we have to do and often put ourselves last. Yeah, I think that there's an aspect of putting certain parts of ourselves last. But, I would say that, going through law school is not necessarily putting yourself last. It's putting certain aspects of yourself first because you're going for a goal.
Yeah.
But it was just flipping hard.
It's going through those choices. I think too, it's really important to look at when we're going through the hard, and sometimes we fall on our ass, that it's okay, right? Because we can get back up again.
And hopefully people who love you will help you. And
hopefully you build a support network of friends and loved ones that are there to catch you when you fall over flat on your face.
And you sure find out who they are when the shit hits the fan, don't you?
Oh my gosh, right? Isn't that the truth? I will say, when my daughter had her traumatic brain injury and we were going through our first hospitalizations, it was fascinating to me to see who disappeared, who threw me under a bus. I remember we were in the middle of Girl Scout cookie season, and there was a mom who came over to my house, and I had to go fetch my daughter back from Pennsylvania because my daughter was in the middle of a psychotic breakdown. And we didn't know it at the time. We didn't understand what was going on, just that she was not having a good time. And so this mom reported me to counsel and my husband to counsel because she showed up on our doorstep in the middle of dinner while I was fetching a kid from
What is
Pennsylvania,
counsel?
like Girl Scout council.
Oh. Thank you.
And, you know, because my husband was less than welcoming for her to show up on our doorstep in the middle of dinner to turn over cookie money when we had had office hours 2 days before. And I remember that woman from the Girl Scout Council sitting there and bitching me out for 2 hours for not being properly welcoming while my child was going through the middle of a massive meltdown. And I wasn't being properly helpful to that mother who wanted to give me her cookie money. And I was like, I had office hours. I made myself available for hours. So you're telling me I should just be a fucking doormat? And if y'all are wondering why I don't donate to the Girl Scout Council here in North Carolina, now you know.
Get it.
My kid was in the hospital and I didn't know she was going to live.
You know, people have their limitations, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's the reminder that you don't know what's going on in someone else's world. So
she knew that I had a kid in the hospital. She knew that my kid was in the hospital. Yeah. No, I mean,
very, very valid point in that even if we don't know, or if we think we know, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we should
sensitive.
give people the grace to say, well, you know, I'm not in their shoes. I don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. You don't forget those things, do you? Those things really smart. You know, they sting, they hurt. You don't forget it.
No, you don't. And like I said, you know, you learn who's going to be there for you and who is not, you know,
and you're grateful. You know, if you can count on one hand people that are there for you and love you.
Mm-hmm. You've done well. Yeah. And there will be people in your community around you that throw you right under a bus. And
always. I
had one of my co-leaders actually stood up for me and went to town on it, you know, honestly, and helped pick up, because we were in the middle of cookie season when this happened. And my younger daughter was one of the top sellers in the council. And I mean, you learn who your friends are, who your supporters are. And, you know, the reality is that a lot of the people that you would think that would be more supportive or more considerate just aren't. And they're not going to be. And they're never going to apologize for being little shits.
Apologies go a long way, don't they?
They do. People don't readily apologize, though. And that's when we keep moving. Yeah, that is when we keep moving, right?
No, you come to Canada, we'll apologize for stupid shit.
Yeah. And I try to be really considerate, and I try to really apologize, you know, like, and being really keenly aware, like, when I have been, you know, a jerk or inadvertently been a jerk. And if somebody points out to me a jerk, I'm going to be the first person to apologize, because I know just how hurtful that can be. But yeah, I think a lot of times people think that they're, you know, untouchable.
Not okay.
No.
Well, I think that we've all learned things, some the easy way, some way the hard way, some the hard we can choose, some the hard we can't choose.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully we've become better people and more gracious people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people who do things better and more efficiently and are more gracious to other people, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would choose.
Yeah. You know, I think that there's just really a lot there to learn to be gracious and learn to be more aware of what's going on around you and the circumstances.
Yes.
Know, everybody has things going on in the background that we don't know about.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think manners is something that's really kind of gone out the window in the last couple of generations. And manners are free. Manners, I mean, I think people don't understand manners, but they certainly make life easier and better.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't all about eating the right salad fork. You know, it's not
Or
about
using the right glass, or
right. It's not about
sure that
that.
your red wine is in the proper red wine glass,
Mhm.
and that it's poured to exactly the right level. No, respect is key for me as well. Just
Mhm.
being respectful, and not artificially respectful, but bone deep respect, I think, is really where it's at.
Well, I mean, it would be nice, but I can't judge it. I will just take courtesy. You know, I'll just, you know, I can't get into what their intentions are. I
No,
would just like civil discourse.
yeah, being civil. You know, Zena made a comment the other day. My daughter was helping dig somebody's car out of this snow in Cincinnati the other day. And she was like, oh, well, let me call my neighbor and see if they have some kitty litter that we can use to get you out. And found out that actually it was the woman who she was trying to get out of this, get the car moving, was actually the niece of the neighbor who was cat sitting, who had access to kitty litter, who didn't realize that she had access to kitty litter. And she's like, I can be kind and compassionate, but I don't always have to be nice. And I'm like, that's an interesting thing. I don't always have to be like totally nice to you, but I can at least be compassionate, and I can, at least be kind. I don't have to be a rude pain in the ass about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that I have to love you, and she
Stacked right.
darn right antisocial when she chooses to be, but it doesn't cost you to be considerate and caring to people around you, and kind. Polite is a beautiful thing.
It certainly is.
Well, ladies, I'm grateful for you.
I'm grateful for y'all for playing with me tonight. I've been out like walking dogs in the rain, so happy to see y'all. So
Happy to see you all too.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Let us know what you think. How do you move when it's hard? How do you get that left foot, right foot going? Take care, y'all.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Victoria, for doing this. You have a snowstorm? Yeah, we don't. We have a lot of rain. More rain. Goody.
I had snow today, and now it's raining, and it's just a nice night to be inside. It's kind of cold and creepy outside.
We got -40 coming again.
Bye, y'all. Yeah.
Think about Florida.